So I want to talk to you about being Assyrian because I feel like you don't get the opportunity to talk about it in depth as much with other people that you speak with. So first I want to pick your brain. Let's start off with the good because I don't feel like there was enough opportunity for you to talk about how it is to be within the Assyrian community and growing up Assyrian. So I want to pick your brain about it. What does it mean to you to be Assyrian and what's the best part about it?
Dude, being Assyrian is so cool, and I never really got to appreciate it until I had a substitute teacher that like spazzed out when I told them I was Assyrian. And they're like, "You're Assyrian? Do you know where you're from?" And I was like, "Yeah, my mother said, what are the best?" And he was like, "You invented math, stars, wrestling." And this white substitute teacher knew more about me than I knew about me. And so I appreciated where I was from that moment on. And also when I went to LA, all of the traits that my people taught me was what everybody loved me for. They was like, he's so hospitable. Look how he does this. Look how he does this. When his parents come, look what they do. They do this. And it quickly helped me. Like Joe Coy, I opened up for him, but then he would come up to me and be like, yo, can we go to your house afterwards? Because my mom would put on this dinner until 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd be hanging out, having a good time. And then another thing that I saw was during funerals. I know this sounds really sad, but watching all these women in the kitchen making sure that the meals are prepped for the kids and that they're taken care of while the mother's weeping, and the father, they're like, yo, we're gonna go run his business and stuff like that, all came and lifted this person up higher.
And these are people that aren't even related to you. They're just friends.
No, they maybe heard of, you know what I heard? Who's his father? It's always like, who's the father? They know you from your family tree, and they'll run and they'll be there for you. So I'm so proud to be an Assyrian man, dude, and like honored. And I wish I could represent it more. So I'm really happy you asked me about that. Yeah, being Assyrian is, and I'm 100% Assyrian. My grandmother's Armenian, but I don't acknowledge that we're Assyrian. There's too many Armenians. There's too many of them.
So how can we contribute to the Assyrian cause? Because I think you did something fantastic, and that was
marry a white woman. What? You guys all wanted to? I just did it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. This is so sad. Hey, you know she speaks Assyrian?
What words does she know?
None. I was just joking.
We gotta fix that.
She knows she knows the alphabet. I know like the alphabet, but I don't at the same time. You know, it's a funny story. I'll just interrupt you real quick. I'm so sorry. But when I was a kid, I was in Sunday school and I was failing that and I was failing English. And I was like, well, we got to get to the bottom of this, right? Because I could only fail one thing. So I had a test in English and I wanted out in one of them. And the one I wanted out was the Assyrian one because it was this old lady teaching me, that's a hairdresser. I didn't like her vibe. And then all the Assyrian kids, mind you, different ages, all dumb. Nobody here was smart. And like, we didn't know anything. And I'm like the dumbest one out of all of them. So I was like, this can't be good for my reputation, bro. So like, I'm like, I got to get out of here. And so what I did is when I got my English test, I filled it out in Assyrian. But like bad Assyrian. Like I was put a alep, beat. And then my mom was like, what the hell is going on? And I was like, Mama, I'm so confused. English is hard. Assyrian is hard. And my mom was like, all right, you're out of that class. So I lied. You remember that card you asked me? Do I regret it? I don't even regret that one. You know, it's so funny. The Sunday school teacher, she came up to my mom. She goes, your son, he's still distracting. My mom was like, how is it even possible? He's not even in the class. He goes, yes, but does he go to the bathroom while he's at church? And she goes, yeah, how did you know that? He goes, because he doesn't go to the bathroom. I would go and put my face up against the wall while they could see me. I'm like, because they were still stuck in the class. And then I ran back into church.
That's so funny, man. That's interesting you say that, though, because my mom stopped teaching me. I spoke fluent Assyrian when I was 5 years old. Fluent. And then she purposely stopped because she was afraid that I wouldn't do as well in American school. So she started to teach me everything in English, speak to me only in English.
I hope you know she realized that you weren't capable of learning two things
both at the same time.
She's like, Bruni Rabachmarele, I got to figure out which one. I just told my mom I was a khmara, and then she let me go. Your mom came up to that conclusion by herself.
Yeah. Well, I'm like 80% proficient right now, so I feel like I'm pretty good about it.
Really?
Pretty good.
I could understand it. And my mom makes jokes. She goes, you only know how to speak fluently when you need to get out of something. Like if we're around people, I'm like, Mom, taza khadia, let's go, glab the gnobble. Like I just speak fluently. And she's like, where the heck was all this when we were speaking? But also, I would like to blame my grandmother, Exa, because she raised me. And this woman's from the old country and never once spoke to me in Assyrian, dude. It's like she wanted to practice English with me. And then had the audacity to yell at me for not speaking their tongue. I go, who raised me? It's your fault, guys. Take a look in the mirror.
That is a problem, though, right? That is a problem, though. The language is slowly, I would argue, becoming extinct because of situations like this. We did this whole entire podcast in English, right? Because the whole majority of the world speaks English.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a problem, too, because I'm very proud of the language that we speak.
I think it's good to teach. Like, I met this Asian family, and then all of a sudden they started speaking Assyrian. I started losing my mind. And I was like, yo, you guys are really good at learning. And then I just realized, like, even my fiance is like, oh, I want to raise them with your tongue. Like, I want them to learn.
That's beautiful.
Assyrian. So, like, I think it's just the parents, you know, I think what happened was we're first generations.
Yeah.
So I think what happens with, like, misguiding your child is always followed with, like, fear. Our parents didn't want us to lack here so they could keep a tongue that's not proficient here. So they'll be like, okay, let's speak English, and the fear takes over them. But then that's when we have to step up and say to our kids, no, we got to teach these kids so that way they know. Because remember, you could always plant the seed. You don't have to wait until it's fully gone. Like, if there's a Assyrian professor out there, he should try to get his college to be able to learn how to speak Assyrian. Or, like, there should be YouTube videos of it. Like, there's ways to make it go off. But it's just the will and the want.
Yeah, it's if you don't put the effort in, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You have to be wanting to put the effort in.
I have been wanting to learn, though. And I've been wanting to learn Aramaic fully so I could read the gospel in Aramaic.
Yeah, Ruslan gave you one when you guys talked. That was awesome, man.
That was so
beautiful.
sick.
That was from Jerusalem?
I think so.
Yeah, somewhere around that region of the world.
Yeah.
So you did the panel with Janko Emmanuel, Vincent, Oshana, Patrick David, and yourself, which was
I did a panel or a podcast?
podcast with them. I call it a panel.
Oh, because
And
I
so-
just did a panel, so I thought you were talking
Oh, got you. So, but that was the biggest Assyrian representative we've ever had in the entire world.
I called it the Assyrian Avengers.
That was the biggest one. And it got 1.4 million views as of now, just the podcast itself, not even the clips. And then if you look on Google Trends, the word Assyrian skyrocketed that day because you guys helped us put that name on the map. And so I believe you guys were doing a fantastic thing with putting us on the map for people who didn't know before. But I feel like I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring up some of the criticisms within the community, just so we can progress forward and make sure that we're on the right track. So the criticisms were that why are people who aren't typically involved within the Assyrian community on a day-to-day basis, like the people who are in the church organizations or the Assyrian aid federations or the Assyrian national committees, why are these guys talking on our behalfs? And the way that I look at it, they think it's like...
Who's saying what? So the Assyrian, like, people in the committee were saying...
The Assyrian community, random guys and girls, were saying, why are these guys talking on our behalf, airing out our dirty laundry? Why don't we have people from organizations that are formal speaking on our behalfs with...
Oh, easy. I mean, we're not stopping you nor framing you from going to have a voice. We're speaking about being Assyrian because it might be a secret. Zoom in. I'm Assyrian. And so is Patrick. And so is the bishop. And so is Vincent Oshana. How crazy would it be to speak about who you are, dude?
Right.
And who was airing out dirty laundry? I don't remember any dirty laundry.
Well, I saw what Patrick was going towards because he was saying, what are the biggest issues and how can we solve them? And then
that's not airing out dirty issues. That's, first of all, that's a community thing. So it's not even a secret. Every Assyrian knows it. You know what Assyrians have a problem with? And by the way, I used to think it was only Assyrians, but every ethnicity has it. They think it's like a club where, like, only our people know, but it's like whatever the Assyrians have a problem with, Mexicans also do, and Greeks also do, and Italians also do. And I think the best way to have success is to put the pride away. I'm very excited that I'm Assyrian, and there's a lot of things that I would like to change with our culture, but there's also a lot of things I want to bring our culture to their world. For us to think that we're perfect and there's nothing to change is crazy.
Yeah, I think it's a scarcity mindset, though, because there's only 4 million of us worldwide. So
I think the future of Assyrians are so much brighter than people even understand. We're on the first generations, and look what we're already doing. Like, imagine in a few other generations where our kids have their kids, and they get to grow, and then we have enough numbers here where we could put schools, and we could vote things in. It's like Assyrians want to give up because they're tired, and they're exhausted. They came from a different country. They don't know how to, like, build, but I just say have faith in God and let God guide our people out of, like, the desert if we have one. I think Assyrian people are doing really, really well right now. Every time I ever meet an Assyrian, they're doing very well. I didn't even read any bad comments, to be honest. Maybe I'm just, like, not good at reading bad comments, but I think that if any Assyrian man was like, why are they airing out our dirty laundry? First, like, realistically, I'm sorry that you're upset. Like, and I'll try to figure out a way to like maneuver where I don't offend anybody. But anytime I ever meet an Assyrian, they're super proud of me and they like congratulate me, and I feel very loved by my people. I think they know my intentions. I remember in that podcast I was saying, hey, let's not push that because that's more of a separation thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember trying to push for our people to come together. In the Assyrian world and in the American world, you're gonna make mistakes in front of people if you have an audience. And so you can't really let that hit you.
I don't think you guys made mistakes, though.
Yeah.
I also don't think they see the strategic thing that you guys were doing. How can you solve issues if you don't point out what the problems are first?
What are the problems, though?
There's a lot of problems. We don't have a country. We don't get along. There's multiple things within the churches. We're split by so many ways.
Yeah, but there's so many beautiful things.
There's so many beautiful things.
I'd rather just focus on the fact that we spoke the language Jesus spoke, that we're still around up until this point, that we might not have a country, but our people succeed in their country.
You said that right, by the way. We speak the language Jesus spoke. Jesus did not speak the language that we speak. That's the correct way of saying it. You said that right. A lot of Assyrians go, Jesus spoke Assyrian. No, he didn't. He spoke Aramaic because Aramaic was the peasant language.
Yeah.
And he was a humble man. And he spoke the common people's language. And then when he had to in the synagogues, he spoke Hebrew with the elites. He could do both, but he chose to speak Aramaic. We speak Neo-Aramaic mixed with Akkadian, which is modern Assyrian. Yeah. That's the only difference. Sorry, I always get
pet peeved about that. To wrap up the Assyrian part of things, I think that just like our works, nothing can happen without faith. You could work all you want, but if you don't have faith, nothing will come out of it. So I just have great faith for our people, bro. I really do. I see kids like you where I'm like, all right, let's have a conversation. Let's sit down and let's talk. Patrick did that for me. And like, there's so many other people that are helping each other. There's always going to be a group of people in any ethnicity or any religion that are negative. And we just can't let their voices be greater than ours. It's a damn shame to say that we're hurting, we don't have a country and this and that, when there's so many good Assyrians doing great things and we're just watering down their good works.
Right.
We are great people. Yeah. We're doing great things and there's so much more that God has planned for us. But as soon as we get into his will instead of our will, like instead of saying he spoke our language, it would be more humble to say we spoke his language.
Amen.
And I think that like a man, also a community could wrestle with pride. And I wrestle with pride every day. So if I'm going to pray for myself to get better, I'm going to pray for my community to get better because I want to see them get better. Those are my people. And sometimes when you discuss dark things, you could be a little bit more celebrating what the devil wants you to speak about. But I'd rather sit there and delight in the light of the world instead of the dark.
I want to end with this part with the Assyrian thing. A lot of people say the Assyrian community or the Assyrians are screwed because we don't have a nation, all this traumas and turmoil we've been through because we've been sent to the diaspora because of all of the genocides or whatever. But look how beautiful this is that we're spread across all around the world. The enemy didn't understand that they were doing this. They thought they were uprooting us and removing us from our homelands. Little did they know, they spread us and planted us all over the world. And now our roots are connected across the whole entire world instead of concentrated in one region of the world. Now everywhere you go, you'll find us everywhere across America, Canada, the United Kingdoms, Australia, Middle East. We're everywhere now. And that couldn't have happened unless the bad moments in history happened. Yeah. And so there's so much in the future that we can look up to for the bright things to happen, because now you think all of a sudden it's been a coincidence that the most influential people on social media are George Janko, Patrick Bet-David, Marmadi Emmanuel, Vincent Oshana, Inanna Sarkis, Benil Dariush, all Assyrian. Is it ironic? It's not. There's like a plan happening right before our eyes and you're a part of it. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm proud of you, man. I really appreciate you. So thank you. Thank you for everything.
I appreciate the kind words. I think if you're Assyrian or if you're not Assyrian, I think if you have a very humble heart, I think God could work with you. And then God could work with those people. And if you read in the gospel, a certain group of people, they come back and forth with the grace and favor of God. So if our ancestors or our family or our adults or our elders, if our elders are bitter and they're exhausted, or if they're saying not so great things about our people, we should double down the good things. And because remember, life and death begins in our tongue. So if you see an Assyrian man talking ill about me or another Assyrian man or anybody, like, go and say two things nice about that man in front of him and watch his heart kind of get conflicted. Be like, oh, now I'm embarrassed. I just talked about my own people like that. And then next time he would rather be the light instead of the darkness.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
It was fun, guys. Thank you so much. Please exit. Every single one of you. Starting with you with the beautiful eyes. Yeah, get out of here. Thank you so much for having me, bro. I appreciate it.